Going twice, sold. You're listening to the Property Pod.
All right. Welcome back to the Property Pod, your award-winning, accessible and easy-to-listen-to way into the real estate market. Hey, that rolls off the tongue pretty well.
I must have been the award. As soon as you start with that, the rest just comes to you now, mate.
It just rolls off the tongue pretty easily, doesn't it? Yeah. So pretty happy with that. Thanks for joining us again. Actually got some feedback from episode where we were very unhelpful about real estate.
Yeah.
But good reviews. I've had two people just say they said it was fun to go back into the history of the pod and how we're just reminiscing. They said, it was really fun hearing you guys talk so happily about all your stuff. So we'll talk a little bit of stuff real estate-wise today. Actually, leading straight off the bat is there's a bit of buzz around the agency today about the Mercury article from our boy Jay Bevan. It's titled "Tasmania's Booming Market Has Seen More Than $1 billion in Value and Over 3,000 Sales."
Yeah, well, that's pretty incredible because you look at the change to the median price and it said year on year, Hobart's seen an increase of 4.5%. And these are all figures released from the Real Estate Institute of Tasmania. And that's still pretty incredible because over the last 5 or 6 years, it's just been 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. And then you had obviously a challenging quarter through the COVID because of the lack of transactions. But now just everyone locally just wants to continue to invest in property. And the stats are starting to show that.
It's kind of just from a anecdotal kind of level. I've been getting texts from people. I mentioned this last week, but I'm still getting texts from friends being like, if you get any good properties, can you let me know? We went to this open home on the weekend and it was just going gangbusters. Like there was people everywhere. We're not even getting a chance to put an offer in because it's just kind of gone before we've even had a chance.
Yep.
So it just seems to be that there's this confidence out there that people are just going boom, 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 let's buy, let's do it. I'm not sure if it's the state of Tassie and the way that we're kind of segregated from the rest of the world and everybody wants to come down here because we're safe and COVID free at the moment.
I think a couple of things are at play. At the moment, and from the investor's perspective, property return still is quite attractive. Obviously you're getting zero money from the bank now. So being able to move that into bricks and mortar still seems to be a good option. And we were still, we'd actually had a population increase over the last several years, whereas in the history, we'd always had a declining population. So we've still got this excess of people that are wanting to get into their own, property, first home buyers and young people included, and of course, new Tasmanians and new Australians. So not only have we still had a shortage of property, but we've actually still had people are still stuck wanting to get into the home ownership. And that's where you've got this, large amount of demand still, which is quite unique in Tassie's history as far as I can see.
Yes, where there was something in this article about first home buyers. Of the 807 house buyers, 301 of them were first home buyers. So 70% of home buyers in the last quarter were first home buyers. So
yeah.
That's a
right
decent chunk. Yeah, that's a real crack. And that's where the friends of mine who are kind of in that age bracket of kind of like, I want to get out of the rental game. I want to kind of put my flag in the ground and stake my own piece of land.
Yep.
They're texting and just being like, just let me know about anything.
Yeah, what's interesting is that first home buyers aren't just going for the new properties where the grants are. They're looking at everything.
Yeah.
So they're just going off and getting their approvals, and then once they know what their budget is, if they can find a property that qualifies for a grant, they're going for it. But if not, they're happy to buy something in the suburbs and just secure a house.
Definitely. Well, I know, my first unit that I'd bought was a little 2-bedroom, unit in Claremont.
Know the one.
Yeah. So that
Remember it well.
that was a fun journey to that place.
Then you traded for gold.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, that's really good because I've got a few articles later that I wanted to talk about, and one of them is right up John's alley. One of them's right up your alley. One of them's right up my alley. So it's something for everyone.
Well, we don't want to talk too long on this topic then if you got that many to get through.
No, they're not long form stories, but trading for gold is very interesting in terms of John's article. But continue your thought and we'll get back to that.
Yeah, well, I guess it was, anything within that price range now is people, I think there just seemed to be a psychological shift in some ways from first home buyers wanting, brand new properties and really, really nice properties. And now it's like they're allowing themselves to come back to the idea that, hey, your first home doesn't need to be your forever home.
Yep.
It's about moving, taking the next step in your life cycle, so they can, and getting excited about good opportunities that will, are good to 3 to 5 years now, and then that's just going to be your next springboard. So that's why even on, like Pat, you said, just I suppose just average properties, the demand has just started to surge.
So is that do you think a reflection of the market and it being so popular that you're going to open homes and being like, yeah, I'm falling in love with this place straight away, but then you put an offer in and it's just kind of blown out of the water?
Yeah.
And you're just sick of doing that. You've like, we've done this 6 times. So then eventually you're getting to the point where you're just being like,
you know what?
I walk in, yep, there's 4 walls, there's a roof, I've got the things, I'm going to put the offer in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you kind of, I guess your wish list and your must have start lowering and lowering and lowering to the point of
absolutely,
I just need to get in.
Yeah.
And then I'll level up 3 to 5 years later. That's kind of
that seems,
what we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, and that seems to be very much in the conversations we're having with people, because you can almost see it in people's eyes. If you can almost sense the fact that they're just disillusioned by the buying process at this point, especially when you're doing one-on-one inspections. Where we've been trying to do as much as we can to give them that breathing space, because it's something you just don't get that right now. And they, you might have someone, look, we've just come back after being unsuccessful for 6 to 9 months, or they're still like right at the tail end, they're just exhausted, and they're like, and we had all these check boxes, and then now it's like, well, we just got to throw them out of the water and go, right, well, what are 2 or 3 like deal breakers, and then that's enough, and then we have to buy.
I guess it's interesting because you spoke with the buyer's agent just the other day when I was away. And what she was kind of saying is, it's really advantageous to kind of have relationships with real estate agents and know when things are coming through. So she's kind of circumventing that idea of, it's hit the market and go and put your hat in the ring and see how you go. It's kind of that idea of it's who you know and knowing. I guess it's the same as this database stuff that you guys have here at 414 and I guess at other agencies, but the idea of like if something comes up and in your mind, I've got a buyer for this will fit them, I'll send it out to them before it hits the market. So kind of those off-market sales.
Yeah.
Advice for potential first-home buyers or people in the market out there is get onto a agent's database, reach out to a few agents if you have to, just so that you've kind of got your foot in the door before the door's even opened. Is that
I think
a good way of looking at it?
I know we did sort of a brief episode before on the idea of buying off-market and how to do that. One thing that comes to mind very simply, though, it's about investing in a relationship as opposed to investing in your time looking for a house. And what I mean by that is that Angie is always in our ears, or is specific people's ears that might be active in the marketplace of a property you're looking. And to help people get a little bit of perspective is that where, a property we just had in West Moona, there was 65 inquiries from 65 different individual people.
Yep. So
we're dealing with nearly at least 500 to 1,000 people every month, new faces every month.
That's constant. That's life as a real estate agent for you guys?
It'd have to be across our office, I assume. But I think why that's important, though, is, and where Angie's, making the point is that she's constantly in communication consistently. And so because she's memorable, so every agency or individual agents are going to have, going to be different. But what she's hoping to achieve, though, is that she's always on the call list of the agent's mind when something happens. It's like, I'll call her first. So if you are looking to create those relationships, it's you're investing in the agent, calling them and going, hey, how you doing? What's up? Is there anything new? Cool, no trouble. And there's just like that constant repetitiveness, so that when something pops up, that agent's going to go, oh yeah, I better call them first. So that's the idea. You're investing in relationships when you're trying to get agents to call you back first.
All right, cool. So to take out of that, what I'm asking is spam you guys.
Yes.
If you want to buy a house, be in contact with real estate agents and don't be scared to be the guy that is constantly calling and being like, do you have a place? Do you have a place? Do you have a place?
What else you got to lose?
The house.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. I just wanted to check on that. I thought that's where we're getting at, but basically for all the people out there that are contacting me, I love talking to you and I'm happy to talk to you.
Yep.
But I'm the photo guy.
Yeah.
Call my agent friends.
But you see the house first.
Yes.
So you kind of get a little secret inside.
No, look, and I'm happy to pass that along to the people, but it doesn't help them ultimately. Like I'm like, oh, are you interested in this one? Yep. All right, I'll pass you along to the agent. Oh, we didn't know about this person.
There you go.
So I'm going to keep handballing stuff along the line to you guys. Keep reaching out, Property Pod listeners. Nan, if you're in the market, I know a few people.
There you go.
All right, changing pace. One for me, one for you, one for Pat.
Got it.
Where do we want to start?
Start with you, mate.
Start with me?
Yep.
All right. I got a message from my brother who lives in Canada just during the week. I sent it through to you guys early on, but this one's right in my wheelhouse. Actually, it's probably in all of our wheelhouses in somewhat. And he was kind of saying, 414, pick up your open home game. He said coffees are good, but this is better.
Yep.
And what I'll do is I'll post a photo maybe through our socials or some way. But essentially the story goes, there's an open home in Maple Ridge Karate Centre in the sunny city of Vancouver.
Karate Centre, yeah.
And Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtle movie number 3 will be coming to our free open home this Saturday. So come along and you get to meet Michelangelo. The photo has him with his suit. From the official movie. Now, number 3 was the worst of the movies.
It'd be really depressing if you turned up though and it's just the guy standing there. Oh, the suit's long gone, but I was in it.
But how crazy is
So
that?
this is at the Karate Centre. You got to open open forum with the turtles there.
Yeah, so look, originally when he sent it through, I said, oh, are they selling the karate school or is it for a house? And he said, I've had a misunderstanding and it's actually, come along and learn karate and it's an open house for anyone that's not.
I wonder though, like what kind of people could you have at an open home that people would, come and want to see?
Well, that's what I wondered. So when I said it to Pat, he's like, oh, are they selling a sewer or a pizza shop?
Yeah, yeah.
That's where I went straight away. Or a secret lair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I was like, oh man, like that's really weird. Like how many real potential home buyers would you get if they were only coming along to get a photo up with Michelangelo?
Yeah. The thing is too, is that I like the idea that there's no context to it. You're just walking through the house and there's Wonder Woman standing there. Get photos. Like
It's no different though. How many true buyers do you get that attend those block open homes that go for days on end?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I was thinking.
There's thousands of people that go through that.
So I did some further research on. Yeah, that's just sticky baking.
Yeah, and if I'm buying one of those block houses, I'm not lining up for 8 hours to get into it, have a look at it.
No,
Yeah, that's true.
You're
No.
Ave Hughes, and you've already gone through, and you've already sorted out. You're in trouble with your wife.
Yeah.
You want me to do my? Pat had the look in his eyes. He's like, do it.
Oh, this house is pretty good. Oh, I wish there was a Ninja Turtle here.
So good.
It's like he's in the room, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
We could get him on the show.
Ask him about how his blockhouse is.
Are you skilled enough to do both characters?
Yeah. Well, it's,
Oh, geez, that'd be a fun
we could
game,
do it.
wouldn't
It'd be a super cut. That'd be a fun editing one.
That would be fun. It'd be like who's the guy with the puppets?
Strassman.
Yeah, it'd be like that. No, but so it's interesting though as an idea of, because I did go down a rabbit hole from him sending me that. And obviously, we're doing the coffees and stuff, which seems to be a good way of getting people in and getting people to mingle and stay a little bit longer and get a feel for the house. I found another one that happened in Sydney over the weekend where there was a sax man playing.
Oh, beautiful.
At the auction. So once the auction was over, he busted out the sax man and it looked like in the video he was doing, the wild sax man video from the Eurovision.
I just
You know the one I'm talking about?
He was on that Jack Whitehall show I've been watching.
Travels with That's a good show. It is. It's very funny. So that was at that one. And then I'd sent through to you also just the week before, there was those people entertaining.
Yeah, the four girls. They were brilliant. Yeah.
So this one was a lockdown place in Victoria.
The aerobics girls.
The aerobics girls, yeah. So they were going out in their street at a certain time every day. They'd post on Facebook like this is going to be happening.
They just had a different dance
And they
routine.
had a different dance routine that they were doing in their Lycra, in their 80 gear. And then that house actually was up for auction. So they were nervous that they were going to get kicked out because they wouldn't be able to afford to pay the rent.
Yeah.
But I said, get them to dance while the auction's on and then you're never going to get rid of them.
No, exactly right.
So open home ideas, I want to put it out to you guys. If there's anything that you can think that would be the ultimate of ultimates.
I'm really disappointed because the 1980s Batmobile from the AFL Grand Final just went up for sale and it was sold recently. That would have been
really?
great. Rock up as an agent in that. And that would have drawn in.
That's a bit better than having specific socks that people notice.
Well, I'm just thinking if you rocked up in the Scooby-Doo wagon, would that be like, would that be good or creepy? I don't know. Like,
Creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah. But you're trying to solve a mystery on what's the sale price going to be.
All right, there's a way of turning a creepy thing into a good
There
thing.
you go. Jinkies.
Let's move on to the next story.
There's so many people.
Alrighty, from Dave Hughes, Michelangelo, and
To
Scooby-Doo.
Velma.
I'm going to move up. This one's right up your alley, John.
All right.
So it's funny that you brought up gold as an investment before because this one is kind of an investment. A UK gentleman sells a 28-year-old whiskey birthday present supply to fund his very first home deposit. So essentially what has happened since he was born, his dad had bought him a bottle of Macallan single malt whiskey as a birthday present right from 1992. Every year he'd keep getting one.
Yeah.
So there was 28 bottles of
18-year-old, wasn't
of 18-year-old, yep.
Yep.
Or I believe that. Yep. You know more about whiskey than me.
John's a whiskey guy.
John's the whiskey guy. That's why it's right up your alley. Not only is it whiskey, but it's a bizarre investment as well that he's turned into something amazing. So the dad spent around £5,000 on it, which in the article says that equates to 9,000 Australian dollars in buying the whiskey. The collection is now estimated to be worth £40,000. So $72,000, which he's then sold along the line and is able to. Has he sold it?
Well, what happened was they after the value, you look at the median house price in the area where he wants to buy, and it's about £400,000, I think it said. So his whiskey collections ended up amassing to nearly 10% of a house purchase. So if he can move it for the price that it's been effectively valued at, he's got his full deposit for his first home. Because his dad was buying him a 18-year-old Macallan's for the last 18 years.
I can one up you on that. Abby and I've been watching this lady on TikTok we follow, and she's trading from a paperclip up to a house.
Oh, so she's doing what that guy did years ago, from a pen on eBay to a house or something.
Yeah,
like that,
so
wasn't it?
she's up to a Mini Cooper S at the moment
A Mini Cooper
from a
S.
paperclip.
Jeez Louise.
Well, I remember that because there was a guy, that same guy who did it on eBay all those years ago, from a pen to a house. So she's
I'm
on
keen to
on
see
her
what
way.
type of house she ends up with now. So
Yeah, wouldn't matter what it is. Though.
Crazy. I was like, how do you wrap your head around doing that? It's like, just keep hustling and.
Well, it's just that upselling, isn't it? Upcycling. We're walking along and we're talking about clothes. And my friend, she does it. She funds all her clothes collection just by buying and selling. So she's got all these really retro and nice clothes and expensive clothes, but she doesn't. How she does that is by going to different op shops, figuring out what people want and all that kind of stuff, getting them, and then moving them on. So she funds her whole collection just by upselling.
It's nuts. It's nuts. Well, it's amazing that this guy can turn
Whiskey
whiskey collections into houses. Yeah.
Well, I remember when I read that article after you said, it was just thought, well, I think, what was it? The first thing I thought, well, I wouldn't regret buying a house, but I've certainly regretted a few empty bottles in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So it's just that, but with that idea of whatever you're selling, it just shifts in a mindset, because we cracked open a bottle of, it was really lucky, it was a gift. It was a bottle of 1986 Penfolds Grange. Now those bottles are worth about $800 to $1,000, but right now at the time there was the advice to say, look, it's drink now. So those Granges can last for decades, admittedly, but when it comes in a wine's life cycle, there's always an ideal time to really capitalize on its taste. Otherwise, after that, it just becomes a collector's item. And if everyone's got a giant alcohol collection, well, it could be alcohol. You could flip it on its head, thinking, you know what? No, it's just a store. In the end, it's just a store of value. And at the moment, his store of value of the Macallan bottles is worth about £40,000. If he trades it out for a house, he's got 10%.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you were saying before with the bricks and mortar stuff. Like he's invested just in glass and and liquid.
That's it.
on a side note, talking about wine, just want to get your opinion on this, Az.
Yeah.
So I went to Melbourne with John last year, and John had to transport a very expensive bottle of Penfolds for his dad to Melbourne for a mate that had bought it from him. John decides to check it into his bag underneath the plane and just
Well, you didn't take it in carry-on.
No, and that's what I was like.
You should have seen it was wrapped up.
I was freaking out. I'm like, if this bag's coming out wet.
In grade 1, we learned how to wrap up an egg and drop it from a roof so it doesn't crack. So I took those same lessons and the bottle didn't crack.
But for a very expensive bottle of wine, let alone the bag getting lost, let alone freaking breaking, I can't believe you didn't check it in.
I got nothing. All right, I got nothing.
Did you carry on a backpack with you also with like your laptop and stuff in it?
Yes,
How much?
but I only had it's like a business bag.
What would be the difference in value between the laptop and the bottle?
Oh, the laptop's probably worth about twice as much.
What I don't understand was he was sitting in first class anyway, so they would have looked after it for him.
Yeah, they would have given it a seat probably.
Yeah.
They were really.
That's the only place they have those magazines where you advertise the properties.
Well, see, by the time I was finished, because I was getting penfolds the whole time anyway. Like I just didn't care about it at that point.
Anyway,
Just slap another label. All right. So, John, how do you feel about the whiskey going out the door? Do you think that's prime investment? You're happy with that?
Yeah, well, if in the like you said, his dad said you never let her drink it anyway. So at this point, then, well, if it's it's served a great purpose, it's been a great gift, and his dad effectively through investing that for his son has given him a gift worth what's 8 times its original purchase price. So that's a pretty good thing for them to share.
It's a good turnaround.
Yeah.
All right. So, final question on this one. What do you guys have in your collection that is either has sentimental value or monetary value that you wouldn't move along or you would move along?
I reckon I'm sitting on a gold mine.
What are you sitting on?
Hard Rock Cafe glasses from all around the world.
Oh,
I got like 40 of them. That's got to be a gold mine.
it's got to be worth something.
Look, I've got Melbourne when it used to have Melbourne.
And so that's probably your collector's edition stuff right there.
I have no doubt I'm sitting on millions of dollars worth of glasses.
That's it. So one day someone's going to really want that.
I just need Hard Rock to go the way of Planet Hollywood and I am cruising.
Oh, yeah. You got anything, Mac?
Nothing. I do not have any. I've got a lot of books, but a lot of them are red and in tatters. And aside from a couple of knickknacks, there's just nothing. And even on the nice bottles we've had, Vacco, we end up just drinking them.
What about the gold that you purchased from your last unit?
Well, you don't. Yeah, that's. I used to hold that at my house, but it's supposed to be stored in a safer spot now. So
Supposed to be?
yeah. Well, it was. Yeah, I've traded that out. I've made a lot of mistakes in my lifetime. So I'm investing differently these days.
A lot of drama. Well, speaking of investing differently and moving forward.
The only thing I suppose is, there is a custom kilt that's designed for me. So unless one day down the road there's a means that after I'm gone it goes, John McGregor wore this kilt, then maybe.
Okay, yeah, for sure. If somehow pants become outlawed, like it's one of those things where you can no longer wear pants and there's a world shortage on kilts.
Yep.
You might be onto something there.
Yep.
All right, looking forward to a future that maybe where pants are illegal. Let's talk about the future of the globe, and this one is right up Pat's alley.
See, I'm nervous because I never got around to reading the show notes. So I'm flying blind here.
Oh, really? You're going to win an award and then you you just
What do you got for me, Az?
So looking towards the future of our planet, making sure our future generations are being looked after. The REA Group have announced its commitment to become carbon neutral. Ooh. So they've gone into the science-based targets of the goals with the Paris Agreement and stuff.
Well, they've got more money than God, so they should be able to afford to do it.
Yeah, so this is where I got mixed up. I thought this was kind of like the overarching REIA or whatever it's called. I missed the letter in
Real Estate Institute of Australia.
Yes, but this is actually
Realestate.com.au.
Okay,
so REA is their share name.
Okay, so I've blown it a little bit in my research.
That's
department, all right. But that's what we're here for, and we all
Didn't
make
read the show
mistakes.
notes, but I know what's going on.
Anyway, so their aim is to put REA and their customers in the best position to succeed in a low carbon future. So they're trying to push forward, and I know that's something that you're really passionate about here at 414.
Yeah, I reckon it's really cool. I think we should be looking at options to reduce our carbon footprint, especially with new generations and the way the world is at the moment. So, no, it's definitely exciting to hear that they're looking into it.
Yeah, so I guess like one thing that you've been really pushing forward here is kind of going kind of paperless in the office space and trying to...
Yes, one of the big things we're starting on is trying to minimise waste.
Yes.
So be it paper, be it supplies that we use just to do our general job. So whatever we can move away from physical products is what we've started with.
Yep.
We'd like to, at some stage in the future, move to a more carbon neutral car because obviously in our industry we use a lot of cars.
Yep.
But at this stage, haven't really been happy with a lot of the options that are out there because I've read a lot of articles saying that the batteries that they put in cars take more energy and more carbon to make than the actual savings from the petrol. So I think for us, what we're trying to do is with cars especially is to try just be more cautious about our trips. So you're not just doing a one-off trying to bulk a couple of trips together so that we make it more efficient.
Yeah.
So we use software that maps out the best route to be able to do our inspections on us, when we do our rental inspections, for instance.
Yeah.
The girls tell the software the properties that need to be done, and it maps out the most efficient way to do that run so that it minimises the amount of time the car's running. So,
and I think it's so important. I mean, what's more important to me is that you're building the discipline of trying to do something, just trying to make a difference, like in a little subtle way. Dear friend of mine, Jennifer Labour, she's a marine biologist, and she did a lot of educational stuff around schools. And when people would say, because she did the study of effects on plastics and seabirds, and when she'd go at the end of her talks and say, "What do I do?" She said, "Well, look, unfortunately, you can't do much. It's a reality, but do what you can, because it's just these small little disciplines that will mean a lot over time. Even if, like you said, you're doing some research on cars, you're like, well, I don't want to buy that because in trying to be carbon neutral, they have to make this battery that ends up costing more than the life cycle of this other car that I could have bought. So you can't win no matter what you do. But I think so long as people are starting to think, okay, think a little bit differently and make little meaningful changes, I think over the course of 10, 20, 30 years, it's going to make a huge difference, especially with, your kids being able to think very, very differently than we ever have.
Yeah, I think that's more as well as for me and my family. It's not so much about, obviously we want to make the world better for our kids as they grow up, but we also just want them to think about it at an early age as well. So my kids are right at that age where they start to think about everything and look at everything. So I just want to try educate them that we should be more cautious about what we're using and not waste resources.
And the thing is too is that we quickly can get overwhelmed by the idea that we don't make a difference, but everything is within the individual. It's just like you don't have to force other big things to change. You start with yourself, make those little small changes, and you start to influence those people around you, and eventually it starts to make a meaningful impact.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's that kind of paying it forward idea of, let's just start with the small stuff. And as Pat says, it started off with waste and then it turns into, sustainably running cars. And it's like, oh, well, if we can't do it with
what can we do?
Oh, we'll look into this software that'll help us find this. And I think it's an honourable way of looking forward and stepping into the future and kind of being, let's ensure there is a future let's ensure there's future properties for people to.
Yeah, and I guess when large companies that can just do have a lot of weight to pull around, when they step up and go, right, we're moving into this space, I think it's really encouraging.
It's a good marketing ploy at the moment too for REA.
Yeah, they could do with all the good press they could get.
No one's above my pay grade, boys, so we might have to come back to that one another time.
We might get Paul in next week to comment.
All right. I'll let you reach out to him. All right, guys, thanks for coming in. Thanks for Husey for showing up for that brief period.
Good to have him back.
It was good to have him back, wasn't it? Thanks for all the listeners out there to our award-winning show, which, gracious, how did we do that? I really appreciate all the support.
Thanks, guys.
That's the Property Pod.
Take care.
See ya. You have been listening to The Property Pod, produced and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Real Estate and McGregor First National Propriety Limited.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek and use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this information.